Okay, again, when I review a lot of the comic book stuff, I tend to give my overall thoughts to start things out, and then we have a really big spoiler section. There'll be a couple breakpoints in between, so you'll know when to skip to if you want to avoid the spoilers. Okay? Okay, so yes, the first two episodes of Moon Knight, I'm going to give them a B. I think there's some really good ideas here. I think the performances are alright, but I have some problems with the story and the execution in this. It's just, one of it's kind of a nitpicky part, but at the same time, I understand that you know, in an era where we are trying to be kinder to those afflicted with mental health problems, in this case, dissociative identity disorder, you have to be, like I said, you need to be a little kinder in that depiction, not to be so crass, but I don't like the way this is being handled. I think this is just a little, I think it, I'll get into it more in the spoiler section, but, the character's problem in the comics exists for a reason, and the identities exist for a reason, and in this case, it seems just like we're doing whatever the hell we want, and we're just taking the bare bones aspect of it, and that's, I think, where this is failing a little bit in my eye, is it's just, yeah, again, and also there's another point, but like I said, I can't get into it without really spoiling, so, again, I do have some problems. Hopefully, I don't know how well I can correct them, but hopefully they can at least make this a really enjoyable series so they can keep the solid B rating.
X-Men, the evil mutants plan their attack. As Juggernaut harnesses his battering ram, Magneto reveals his magnetic force.
Lead the attack, Juggernaut.
But waiting are the X-Men.
Evil mutants.
Wolverine flashes claws of steel, while Cyclops turns on laser power.
This city has a speed limit.
And the giant apocalypse is power lifted by the mighty Colossus.
Lost again, Magneto.
X-Men and Evil Mutants, each sold separately from Toy Biz.
Okay, Moon Knight Episode 1 is titled The Goldfish Problem. I have no idea if that's related to the Hedgehog Dilemma or not, but basically we are introduced to Stephen Grant, a kind of bumbling gift shop employee at the local Natural History Museum who seems to aspire to actually be a tour guide with his thorough knowledge of Egyptian history at this London-based museum. It says like gallery, but it's sort of it's like they show a picture of an art gallery at the top, but it's a history museum. I don't understand what they did there, but anyway, as that happens, he's having problems with what he thinks to be somnambulism, to the point that he has to literally strap himself into his bed every night to make sure he doesn't get up and walk away. However, he suddenly one night after going to bed, he suddenly finds himself standing in a field in, I believe, Switzerland, with a broken jaw, and not knowing how that happened. And it's there that he suddenly encounters a man named Arthur Harrow, who's played by Ethan Hawke, who is this weird kind of cult leader who claims to be the avatar of the Egyptian god Ammit, who is judging people and deciding whether or not they are worthy of, well, living or not, because we'll find out a little bit later on, but still, and it's at this point too that Stephen starts hearing various voices in his head, one of whom keeps calling him Mark and refers to him as a mercenary, and he winds up trying to do his darndest to get back home, and eventually he kind of blacks out and finds himself back in his bed. Only 2 days have passed at this point, and he still has no idea what exactly is going on. However, as he sort of inspects around his house, he finds this kind of trapdoor, hidden, hollowed-out section of the wall, and inside is a phone SIM card and some type of storage locker key. And he puts the SIM card in, and he suddenly starts getting calls from this woman named Layla, who's looking for Mark. And this starts kind of setting him off a little bit, and suddenly Mark begins talking to him through a mirror. And he doesn't understand what's happening. Also, this weird creature that has a skeletal bird head begins appearing to him and wreaking havoc throughout everything. It's then that Harrow shows up in London is seemingly following Stephen Grant and assuring that this is who he claims to be, because he also mistook him for Mark. They don't call him the full name in the first episode. And eventually he summons these creatures, these jackal creatures, to attack Stephen. I keep wanting to call him Mark, but we'll get to that. Attack Stephen at the museum, and finally Mark gets through to Stephen and says, "Let me take over," and it's that point he transforms into Moon Knight for the first time. And that basically leads into the second episode, which is Summon the Suit, where, after everything that's happened at the museum, and, Stephen shows up at the museum the next day, and he asks to see this camera footage, and it just shows him running around the museum causing a bunch of damage, so he winds up losing his job, but they are willing to at least pay for some psychiatric help to get at, because they realize something is wrong, because even he doesn't seem to understand what's going on. And he goes to investigate this storage locker key, and he finds a whole bunch of military paraphernalia, including a passport for a Mark Spectre. And it's there that Mark finally reveals himself to Stephen as this alternate identity. And it turns out also that Layla is Stephen's wife. And we'll get to that as soon as we can. But also that they are the avatar for the Egyptian god Khonshu. And basically, they are trying to protect this scarab. I did not catch the name of it because it said so quickly. It's the scarab of something, but basically, well, the scarab acts as a compass to point to where the tomb of Ahmed is supposedly located, and Harrow and his followers want to reawaken Ahmed so they can take over the world. Ahmed's motivation is to basically kill those before they do anything evil. Even if they don't intend to do anything evil, if they have one evil thought, basically it's the Minority Report idea. So from there, again, this causes Stephen to flip out. He bumps into Layla, who wants him to sign divorce paper because she's married to Mark Spectre. And this is where it's getting, And Mark doesn't want Layla around because he knows that if they give her this, if she knows about the scarab, she's also going to be targeted on this list, but there's also another reason for that. And they go, eventually, Stephen does reveal the scarab to her, gives it to her, and he gets arrested by the police for the havoc he wrought at the museum earlier, even though he thought he had cleared everything up with that. But of course, it turns out these are followers of Harrow. They take him to him, and Harrow explains, look, I used to be Khonshu's avatar before Spectre. I know, let me guess, Khonshu says, if you do this for me, I'll let you go. He always says that, but he never does. And you have to basically break it with him yourself. And and it's also confirmed that Spectre is a mercenary, and he was responsible for this large slaughter of a village in Egypt, but Mark can't explain it to Stephen, who's now really angry. But when Layla arrives with the scarab, and these jackals are summoned again to attack them, it allows Stephen to try to summon the suit, hence the name of the title, and winds up summoning the Mr. Knight persona briefly, and trying to take on one of the jackals, getting his butt kicked, which finally allows him to say, okay, Mark can take over now. And he does, and gets rid of the jackals. Unfortunately, in the process, he loses the scarab, which winds up back in Harrow's hands. And this is kind of where we get the big twist for the second episode, which is that Khonshu is altering the deal. And basically, if Mark isn't willing to stop Harrow anymore, well, he'll move on and make Layla his new avatar. Or it's implied it's Layla. She will become the new avatar, and that really upsets Mark. And he's going to take basically full control from here on out. And from there, they go on to Egypt. And that's how the episode ends. So, okay, that's kind of the big spoiler section part now, but we're still going to be dealing with some spoilers as I elaborate on what my problem is with this. And that is, like I said before, I understand that you need to depict this with some kind gloves so as not to look crass or exploitative, but like I said, Moon Knight's the alternate identities that exist in the mind of Mark Spectre in the comics exist for reasons. like, they're basically personas he created, and then all began to kind of take over his brain at some point. If you've seen my Essential Moon Knight review, Stephen Grant is a businessman who's the front for, basically is the business front from which Mark Spector's mercenary activities are sort of hidden. Stephen Grant is supposed to be the wealthy businessman. Jake Lockley is the man on the streets cab driver who gets all the information and beats around the bush. Moon Knight is the avatar. Mr. Knight is the detective. Mark Spector is supposed to be the actual guy, but again, his identity is so mucked up that he starts to lose track of who he is at what times. And there's one other one I can't think of at the moment, but you get the idea. And then there's Khonshu, who's sort of, mucking around with all of this and starting to, slowly destroy not Stephen, but, now I'm screwing that part up, Mark Spector's mind as well. So there's all of that going on. And like I said, in this case, to take Stephen Grant and make him this bumbling idiot, it doesn't really make any sense. What purpose does this serve, except that now he's interested in Egyptology? However, when dealing with Layla basically reveals that she knows that, about the scarab, and, she worked with Mark to try to find it, and not only that, but she's basically seen Mark transform into Moon Knight a couple of times. She hasn't seen the jackals, though, because those are invisible to the average human eye. Only those who have been touched by the Egyptian gods, who are avatars for various Egyptian gods, can see them, basically. The average people on the street just see, a guy in a white suit fighting things. Kind of from there. So, yeah, that's where kind of, I think, the problem lies with me. It's like, you just did it for the point of doing it without understanding why it was done. And, I understand that maybe you can't get away with some of that stuff in a, TV-14 Disney show, but still, it just kind of sticks in my craw a little bit. Not to mention, we still, I guess we're not going to get the full explanation of why, Mark Spector is Moon Knight just yet. I'm sure there'll be an episode, but, again, the Layla thing, it feels like it got way too convoluted, way too fast. I really wish they maybe simplified the storytelling down a little bit. Not to mention, there's a lot of stuff that can be easily rectified if we just take 5 minutes to explain it, and I really don't like that trope. That's just a personal nitpick of mine. That's why, overall, I am giving it a B. It is good. It's not terrible, but there's just problems I have with it.
We come from another world.
We come in peace.
To offer you a new way.
A better way.
To build a perfect future for you humans.
We just need you
to embrace change.
Okay, so the next time we're going to be covering Moon Knight is after episode 4. We're going to do kind of bi-weekly reviews where we're going to review back-to-back episodes. And we'll do that with Star Wars Obi-Wan when that premieres at the end of May as well. I figure that's, one, it kind of helps please the algorithm a little bit, and maybe that will also spread some of the viewpoints out just a bit more here and there. Those probably going to be way more spoiler-heavy than usual. I think there might only be like one commercial break in there, so, I guess maybe watch those at your own risk. I don't want to be too, I obviously don't want you to scare you away from it, but we'll deal with that part when we get to there. Anyway, the next movie review is going to be Sonic the Hedgehog 2, and that's going to be up in all likelihood on Saturday. I can only get to a Friday screening for it, so that's why. And it's a late night Friday screening. So it's not super late. It's 7 o'clock, but yeah, it's Friday evening screening. So it'll be up on the review will be up on Saturday. After that, the next review is going to be the random trade review. The next video is going to be the random trade review on the Phantom Stranger showcase. See you all next time. Hey guys, remember, you can help support my channel at patreon.com/sleepytimeforcat productions, where you can help request a movie, even if it's something like, say, Sonic the Hedgehog or the next Purge film. I'll review it.